You're listening to the Empowering Process podcast with your host, Gail Kraft. Listen as she holds frank discussions around how your purpose, being present, and trusting your power impacts your life. Whether you're an entrepreneur, leader, or developing your vision, you'll find wisdom and insights you can utilize right now. Welcome your host, Gail Kraft.
Hey everybody, Gail Kraft here from the Empowering Process podcast, where we're going to talk about your purpose, power, and being present. Today we have with us Jolanda Logan, and she is, hey Jolanda, she is a marketing specialist and strategist. She actually works on editing my podcast and a few other things on the side, and she'll probably be doing more with me. She's amazing to work with. And she's joining me today. She's joining me today for the Ask Me Anything segment. So we're going to just hold a conversation about things that interest her. And I guess the first conversation, which is the one that you really, really want to know about, is, what do I mean when I say finding your purpose, right? And we talked a little bit about that. But when you think about purpose, Jolanda, what are some of the things that come to your mind?
Sure. Well, I think purpose is a heavy word because everyone tries to find their purpose, right? It's like the age-old question, what is the purpose of life and what am I doing here? So I think a lot of times people can kind of try to hone that into what are my interests, what are my talents, what are my kind of what comes naturally to me. And I think the bigger part of purpose is not just what you can put out, but how you can affect people, right? So how can I take this power that I have and really apply it for the greater good. So I kind of see it like a internal to external type of idea.
Oh, it's interesting. So, purpose, you're right, it is heavy and it is complicated. So, I like to simplify it a little bit and maybe simplify it a lot. First of all, lighten up. We're not here for any great reason. There might be a couple of people, Gandhi was here for a reason, Christ was here for a reason, but for the most of us, we're here to play. We're here to experience, right? We're here to have fun. Look at it as God or the universe or whatever power that created us said, there is a playground over there. Go have fun, right? So lighten it up, first of all, and just have fun. The second thing is when I talk about purpose with clients, I like to talk in broad strokes. So rather than being specific, we want to bring it up a little bit and maybe actually bring it up a lot of bit. And think of life as a category because there's so many things that you can do underneath the broad strokes. I'll tell you an example of the last client that I wrapped up with just recently. And, he came looking for purpose, right? And I chuckle, haha. I didn't tell him that, your purpose is to play. Though he felt that way when we were done. He's really enjoying life. But he had this pressure of feeling like I'm successful in business. Whatever I want to do, I am able to do, which he is. I have money, I have a nice home, I have a beautiful wife, I have a nice son, and I'm still feeling empty. I'm looking for my purpose. So what you're looking for is to fill that emptiness. Why are you feeling empty? What I do with my clients is a thing called a soul realignment. So yes, guys, we're going to get woo-woo here, the woo-woo side of Gail. I am a soul realignment practitioner. What does that mean? It means that we all have a certain vibrational energy, and energy will be something else that Jolanda and I will talk about. We have a certain energy that means we have a gift that was given to us upon creation. And if we know what that gift is and we make choices based on that gift, we will have abundance and happiness and joy in our life. And when we're out of sync, I call it being dysfunctional with it, things show up that we don't want to show up. So this client that I was working with, we did our little soul realignment and he came about. He's a communicator. And his response to me was, I hate writing. I am not a communicator. So I'm like, well, communication is a broad category. when you think of communication, that you can be a writer, you can be a speaker, you can be a leader, you can be a storyteller. I actually led him to a podcast where a woman actually makes a living as a storyteller. And the podcaster was interviewing her so that he could see that there are other ways to do that. When he did his homework, his first homework assignment to me, right, he is describing this place that he is going to be working in 5 years. And he's talking about the structure of the building and the glass is all around so everybody gets to see outside and partake in nature. And what they see is, and he describes the trees and the mountains and the waterfall and the stream. What do you mean you're not a communicator? You just gave me a whole story of an office space, right? And so we discovered that he was frustrated with the act of writing because he's dyslexic. Being a little bit that way myself, in fact, a bit that way. We talked about the challenges of that and how to overcome those challenges. And so he started first recording a book. Then he started journaling a book. And then he purchased software that is specifically for authors so that he could write his book. So that and a whole bunch of other things that were overcome. So he is now a writer. So the broad category is where we want to go. Now, some of those categories can be vague, right? I mean, what if you come out? I mean, for me, my category, if you will, is truth. What do you do with that? Right? My gift is I'm going to tell you a truth, but I'm a seer, which means I can take, so no, I'm not a mystic and, I can see the future, but in a way I can. Because when you work with me and we start planning out a business plan, which some of my clients, we go away on a retreat and do this, I can see the trajectory of where your plan is going. And I can see where there are obstacles in the way. That made me an amazing project manager because I could see risks that others couldn't before they even manifested and prepare for them, right? And create risk management plans or adjust where we're going, right? So that's what so then you go a broad stroke truth. You can't get much broader than that, except for my clients who are manifestors, right? And that's what I'm like, so what do you want to do? You need to create something. And that would be someone like your serial entrepreneur, right? A serial entrepreneur. I knew a woman in California when I first met her. She actually said, what I do is I'm a serial entrepreneur. So she was actually closing down a business she was involved with. And in 2010, 11-ish, I mean, right after the crash, right? She opens up a spa. Now, spas are closing left and right. Right? She opens up a spa. And within 5 years, it became one of the top spas in San Diego. She sold the spa and she took that money. And what did she do? She invested it in a software application that was being developed that was really, really cool, right? And when that money was done or that project was, right, and that's what I mean by serial entrepreneurs. You want to create something, but you don't want to stay there. Right? Because now it becomes like a job, right? And so the joy for them, the playground for them, right, is in the act of creation. So when we talk about purpose, you were talking about some of the things that you do that you're passionate about, but that's not your purpose, right? So let's talk about some of that.
Sure. So I realized a very long time ago, like I'm in my mid to late 30s right now, and I realized when I was a child that like, whoa, people get on stage for a living and make people laugh. Like when I first found out what a comedian was, I mean, watching Saturday Night Live and all of that, I just had this thing where I was like, I could do that. I'm going to do that. And it was kind of my life plan as a child that I would be this famous comedian, right? But then you start working, and then that's when I picked up the passion of marketing, and how much I loved that and all of the applications of it, because it's not data entry, right? There are so many facets to marketing that was just keeping me really interested. So it was when I was about 30, I think it was 31. It was a New Year's Eve, and I had just said, all right, what is my, like, Jolanda's New Year's resolution, right? Not anything to do with my family or my career or anything. And I was like, wow, I have never taken one step towards comedy. And I just kind of like realized that, yeah, it was something I always assumed I could do. And, it was interesting. And I consumed a lot of comedy and really enjoyed it, but I hadn't gone out there and done it. And that was my goal that year, was to do it. So I did a couple improv classes, then I went right into my comedy workshops, and I've been, kind of dabbling in it ever since. And sometimes a few months will go by and I'll say, man, I really need to book an open mic just to like prove to myself I can still do it, right? Where I'm saying I remember my, lines and I can riff a little bit, and then there are applause or laughs where I am assuming they're going to be, and things are
Right.
going good, right? But I am also a martial artist, so I do Muay Thai kickboxing, and I also train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I mean, that is a 3 or 4 day of my week religiously. We're a martial arts family, so that's a big passion of mine. I would become an instructor tomorrow if there was an open spot, and that's a huge part of my life.
So
But
it'd be really interesting to find out your broad stroke.
right, and to go back to the marketing and the passion, I feel
Mhm.
like the purpose is tied into that, because the it's the community, the help, the not necessarily volunteering, but the being helpful. I'm a chatterbox. I'm going to give you so much free information that you could apply right now. But the bottom line is, business owners are so busy in the day to day that they can hear all of that, but they're not necessarily going to take the time to apply it. And then that's where I kind of bridge that gap and get things done. And there's such a value to that, to get, to turn those ideas into actual applied, tactics for their business.
So is it the applied tactics for their business, or is it the response that you get from your clients?
Well, it's kind of all together, because even, I was laughing with my husband the other day where, I mean, I'm, on my phone and I'm scrolling, but I'm scrolling through the Adobe Effects Instagram page for videos on, just kind of things that are out there that people are doing now on these apps. So I think it's kind of everything interests me. Oh, now I can do this, or, oh, you know what? 3 months ago, if I knew that, it would have changed this project. So the next time I have a project like that, so it's kind of it's like addicting to me. Um,
For sure. Yeah. So a lot
Definitely,
of
I'd love to understand more of that, the broad stroke, right? Because I'm
the
kind
broad
of,
strokes.
yeah, I'm kind of out here just winging it, right?
Well, you're doing a good job winging it, honey.
Oh, thank you.
You're doing a good job with that. Yeah. Yeah. So what's my purpose? That people put so much pressure on themselves, and there is something missing. There is this void, right?
Mhm.
And part of it is really, it is your purpose. It is not finding your purpose, but a good portion of it is getting comfortable with who you are, right? And loving who you are. A lot of the work that I do with clients is energetic, and we'll talk about that in another session. But it really is, everything boils down to it, it's how you relate to you first, right? And so before going out and finding a purpose to heal the world, I'll give you an example. So how many healers, energy healers, Reiki healers, whatever you want to call it, that really live a shitty life? Their life is, their personal life is a mess, and they probably have physical issues themselves. Or you
Yeah,
can go after your purpose. You have to be, be at ease with you. You need to make friends with yourself, right? And that requires such a little bit of work. It requires being brave enough to be introspective and get curious about why you're doing something. I have a client that came to me and, okay, shrink versus coach, guys. She's been going to shrink for decades. All right. And her first thing, Gail, I'm messed up here, 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 here. She's giving me all of her problems. I'm like, yeah, we're not going to touch any of those.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, you know, my history and my past and da-da-da-da. I said, yeah, we're not going to touch any of those either. If they come up, we'll deal with what comes up.
Right.
But our job is, where are you going and where are you right now?
There. I love how you say, that, the past is in the past, leave it there. But, yes, there's a lot of information, data back there that you can bring forward, but, leave the past in the past. And I think
Right.
that's powerful that, let's say, somebody really does do all that work on themselves. And then whatever that process was, they are able to then, it kind of sparks inside of them that I can help other people that way. That's a totally different animal.
Right.
Right. Then, hey, my facade is really great. Let me coach your life.
Right. Right. Those, or
Yeah.
so, and here's the deal. Most, and I'm going to get comfortable. I do this every once in a while.
Sure. Please.
Most people, I don't want to be generalized, but some people I have observed go into this type of healing profession because they themselves need healing. And believe me, the same thing applies to shrinks. They become psychiatrists or psychologists because they have their own issues that they want to deal with, right? However, if you don't deal with your issues, if you don't apply it to yourself, you will cause more harm than good. I have, and I always have a coach. I'm coaching with someone now.
Which I was very impressed to hear. If you remember when you told me, I was talking to my mentor and I'm like, and you have a mentor? I think that's just so, it just kind of proved that there's no ego with you, right?
Oh,
I liked that.
Yeah, believe me.
I liked that right away about you.
I mess up enough. Right. But so I'm talking with this gentleman, and he actually runs a mastermind group for coaches. Right. And we were talking about the podcasts, right? And my plans and my strategy and what I'm going to do. And he goes, I can't wait for your podcast, Gail, because you're one of the few people as a coach that you practice what you preach. Now, here's a gentleman who has dealt with thousands of coaches, because that's his job. Is he trains coaches and then coaches coaches. Mm-hmm. And he's telling me I'm one of the few. So that concerns me. And I will tell you, when I first started as a coach, I had coaches, because I had shit that I had to leave behind. I had coaches because they knew nothing about network marketing. I had coaches because they knew nothing about marketing, right? I mean, I had them up the wazoo. And so many times I would be on the phone in the meeting and I would be doing the coaching. And I would stop and say, wait a minute, I'm paying you. And the first thing that comes out of your mouth is how shitty your week was and what came up for you. Right. And so when we talk about purpose, my purpose as truth, okay, and as the seer, so being a coach is perfect for what I do. I'm going to call that stuff out. I'm going to say, it's been awesome working with you. This is not working for me, though. It's working very well for you. Here's my charges. If you want to go further, here's what it will cost you. But here's the amazing, and this is why the podcast is the purpose, right? Your purpose, power, and presence. Because when you relax into your purpose, so it isn't a go-getter, it's a relaxed, oh my goodness, that so fits. That so is right. You step into a power that is so surreal because you have a knowing, and I call it a knowing that cannot be explained. And you become present in the moment because all of this comes together.
I agree. And we were talking, a little bit earlier about it's almost easy. What's that great thing that you can do that's actually easy for you? And when you look around, it's not as easy, or people aren't as willing to be doing it as you
Right,
are.
right.
And then it's almost like, okay, there is room for me, right? There is room for me and for my purpose because it is unique and individual.
And it's easy
Hmm.
because it's who you are. So if you're struggling with something, then you know that you're in the wrong place.
Hmm.
And what's interesting, many of my clients also are looking for a new job. That gentleman was,
Sure.
and my response is, yeah, let's work on other things first, right? And he found a balance through our sessions in his job, and actually a humor where he previously was upset about what was going on. There was actually a little, well, here we go again, but from a humorous perspective.
Hmm.
And he was offered a remarkable position near the end from another department,
Excellent.
right? One of the things that we did, and some of my clients get this, some of them don't, it depends on the path we take, is his personal mission statement. Again, if you know your purpose, you can come up with a mission statement that is all encompassing, that will take you forever. Mine is who I am, and your mission
Hmm.
statement is who you are. And he was making choices when he went for the interview in that job, and when we talked, he's like, so my mission statement. and, and does it have this? Check. Does it have that? Check. Does it
Hmm.
have, right?
Awesome.
Right? How do you make a decision? Does it align with who you are? No. The answer is no. Does it
Right.
align? Yes. Now
Because you will,
the answer may
oh,
not be
you,
yes, but
right.
it's like, yes, this would fit.
And you will find out the hard way if you compromise any of those things, you know, oh, it's a little farther than I wanted to drive, but it's a great opportunity. And then, 2 months in, you're like, I cannot believe I signed myself up for a 40-minute commute. You need to really put your foot down in those situations so you don't regret it. And then in that time that you're suffering, you're losing yourself too. And then it's like almost like you have to start a little bit of work again.
You do.
It's
You
yeah,
do. Right. It's like Groundhog Day. Okay, here we go. I know I've been here
yeah.
before, and yet here I am again. And you wonder why. And it's because you're making choices not aligned with who you are. One of the
Mhm.
things that my coach has said, now he was the first coach I ever had. He's the one who trained me.
Mhm.
And one of the things he says in that training is know your worth, charge your worth. And he doesn't tell you what that dollar is, it's your worth.
Sure.
And leave the money on the table if the client isn't the right client. It's hard, I know. Leave it and walk away. And it was very hard for me to do that.
I understand. I'm trying to right now try to navigate that where, you think, you know, I really want to work with this brand. I really do. And then, if you had a really great first one-on-one and and then you're doing your follow-up, and then there's a point where you've done the follow-up to the point where, okay, now their perception is I'm bothering them when this was really promising, and I'm just trying to be professional and do my part to see if we're going to move forward. But a lot of times you have to realize that if you're chasing somebody down to work with you, your value isn't there. You're going to be chasing them down to pay you as well, right? So
Right?
they're going to look at an invoice as, like, oh, well, I really wasn't ready to do this or take this on or whatever it might be. And then kind of, diminish your value based on, you being pushy or whatever it might be perceived as. So I'm trying to kind of navigate those waters myself right now in, my new business where, is it is it working, right? So if it's, so I kind of have had that situation now where I'm more confident to say like, I mean, after this follow-up, I can't do anymore, because it's also, a reputation of that I don't want to build of being somebody who's bothering, but I'm my own salesperson. I really believe I can help them. And when I see a brand that I'm reaching out to, it's because I have so many ideas for you. I have ideas that will work and move the needle, and I'm excited, right? And then, and it's, I think I need to work on kind of how I convince people that I'm the right I'm the right person,
Right?
because of what I know I can offer, but then it's actually translating that to to being of value to the other person.
Right, right. And we can talk about that in another session.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little bit about purpose. There's so much about finding your purpose. I'll probably end up doing, other episodes around this. So thank you, Jolanda, for joining me on this podcast, the Empowering Process podcast, where we talked about, purpose. And Jolanda, tell us a little bit about what you do and how people can get in touch with you.
Sure. Well, my name is Jolanda Logan. I am a marketing strategist and consultant, and I specialize in small businesses. I have over 18 years of experience in, huge local and national brands. And right now I really am honing into the community and small business space. I offer free consultations, and I can be reached at marketing@jolosparkles.com.
Thanks, Jolanda. And we will put that in the comments so that you can get in touch with them. And thank you again, everybody. This is Gail Kraft from the Empowering Process. And if something came up for you that was of interest, please do put it in the comments. I'll be happy to do another Ask Me Anything on it. Or if this really was amazing for you, share it out. Let us know. Like it. Take care, everybody. Have a fantastic day, and we'll be talking to you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Empowering Process podcast. Be sure to visit Gail at gailkraft.com to learn more about how she serves thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and goal seekers. And remember, if you like this broadcast, be sure to share and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.